I can just call you Joe.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've had a pretty rough night.
No, I'm fine. I'm used to sometimes staying up days on end, so this isn't too bad. I have got some medication that I got to take, so perhaps that's something in my voice. But
And so what you've had some pretty interesting experiences over the past little while. Tell me about that.
well, I was working for private companies abroad. I guess in a nutshell, I got started at this as a young man. I came from a broken home, and I wasn't terribly bright in school, but I was quite athletic. And
I find that hard to believe about not being bright.
well, thank you, Joni. That's very sweet of you. But I got recruited at a very young age, and I was in the military.
Okay. So which military are we talking about here?
I was in the, I was actually selected. I had a choice, basically, of several different departments. I initially signed up with the Army.
Mm-hmm.
I was selected for the Marine Corps in the United States. I was asked, or I wouldn't say forced, but they certainly were interested in me with Delta Force and Navy SEALs. And funny enough, I was working, how should I say, I was on loan basically to the British SAS.
Ah, right. So
And then I eventually left because I had a better offer, let's just put it that way.
Oh, so you were sort of out there for hire, as they say.
Yeah, that's what did happen. Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you've had a pretty colorful life. You've been.
I've seen a lot of things that I wish I hadn't. Let's put it that way.
So at this point, you're basically hiding out. What would you say?
Well, you can't really hide out from what I'm talking about, but I guess the best thing I can do is if anyone does encroach on my living conditions where I am, then I'm going to take a few with me.
Yeah. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So basically, you've decided that you're going to take things into your own hands.
Well, certainly when it comes to people I care about, and that in itself has been quite a journey, just learning how to be a human being and learning about a spiritual world that I was trained not to understand or care about.
Uh-huh. So basically you're having to be retrained into so-called civilian life.
Yeah, and that also encompasses my spiritual life too, because I don't know if you've ever dealt with anyone that's been in any of these black ops or anything, but most of your ability to care about a human or an animal is pretty much knocked out of you, and that's generally why you do get chosen. I was chosen because of abuse issues as a young child, and I now wonder if perhaps I was maybe not watched from a very early age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you got to wonder why people do actually get into these areas. But then again, there's a lot of soldiers that are going overseas and they're fighting, and they didn't, necessarily come from that kind of a home. But you had a different. You made it into a career.
Well, I did, and I'll tell you, I thought I was doing the right thing all along. See, I thought I was protecting my country initially, and I was rewarded for my abilities, and I didn't know everything's very compartmentalized. You're not told what the other hand's doing a lot of the time, and then I didn't realize. After I left, or I guess I could say transferred to private companies, I had no idea that it's a joke. It's a damn joke, this whole idea of military forces in countries, because most of this stuff, the real damage, collateral damage, is being done by your PMSEs. I don't know if you knew.
No, I don't know about that. Tell me about that.
I'll just tell you, in the Gulf War, there was probably one, let's just call him a soldier of fortune. One soldier of fortune for every 60 military personnel, and by the Balkans there was one for every 10, and by right now we probably have more soldiers of fortune or mercenaries engaged in Afghanistan and Iraq than actual military personnel.
Interesting.
So we do all the dirty work, and we're able to do anything we want, and we're told to do things, and we do them knowing that we're 100% worry-free, and there are no legal consequences for whatever the hell we do as a shadowy mercenary company. And
so when you say company, that means that you're not talking about that in the military sense. So you're actually a privately owned.
We're privately owned, and we account for more than the military now abroad. And you can thank your Dick Cheneys and Halliburtons and Blackwater and the rest of them, Titan. I mean, there's a whole damn list of us, but or of them anyway, because I'm no longer a part of it. But it's gotten, I guess what I wanted to really say is even as soldiers of fortune are becoming, we're almost an extinct group now, and many of us, the younger fellas particularly, that are physically and mentally, everything's monitored and studied, and then when they see certain attributes that you possess, they take a real interest in you. Now, that's where it gets spooky, because we've got our DNA and everything all the way down the line is studied. If any of us have had sexual abuse as young children, we're also helpful because we have what's considered dissociative disorder.
DID.
Identity disorder, and that is helpful because we're programmable, and they study us, you see, and the real spooky part today, and I'm talking right now, is that I have seen, and I'm not going to say in an underground base or anything like you might hear on one of these conspiracy shows, but I have seen evidence, and I have been alongside what can only be referred to as a freakazoid transhuman soldier.
And so how could you describe that for somebody that has never met such a freakazoid transhuman soldier?
Well, hang on just a second. I'm going to take a little bit of this medication I got here.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it's a.
Yeah, well, this is pretty.
I got post-trauma, see, and I got to take
stressful.
care of myself here.
Yeah, just the whole idea of doing this and disclosing this is pretty stressful.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of nothing. I'm not afraid of dying or anything, but I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of telling the truth because I'm afraid that it's so unbelievable that the people will just quit listening right now, because I don't want that to happen. And so I want people to stay here and listen to what I've got to say, because I'm not trying to blow smoke or anything else. I'm talking about transhumanism, and I'm talking about your robots or whatever the heck you want to call them. I'm talking about DARPA. I'm talking about underground bases, not just underground, certainly above ground, nanotech that's going to replace blood cells, and they've already done it. They weren't just cloning a sheep 25 years ago. They've certainly, they have gone beyond anything that you could ever in your darling sweet life imagine. And it is not just in wartime countries. We're having this is coming to a store near you, you could say.
Yeah. I'm laughing ironically.
Yeah. No, this is no laughing matter.
Not funny.
I didn't get pushed out. I wasn't willing to do certain things at the end. Not that I'm any kind of angel, but I wasn't willing to do certain things at the end. And I saw right alongside us barracks, or you can't really call them barracks. They're more like semis with almost like apartment dwellings inside of semis. You never see the inside of these things, but you'll see 20 or 30 perfectly engineered soldiers walking out a back door of one of these things when you least expect it, down some dirty, gritty road off in Afghanistan, dust blowing, and there over the side of the hill you see this thing open up, and out come these transhumanist soldiers, which just about drops you straight in your tracks because you can't believe what you're seeing. And these guys can run forever. They can fight non-stop for weeks on end. And we're not even, we're going to be extinct soon. We're going to be overrun with this stuff. It's nanotechnology. It's in your skies. If you look up above during the day, you can see stripes in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
That's got nanotech in it. Not just the aluminum and the barium, as Alex Jones likes to scream about. But we've got nanobots that are coming into us at a pretty alarming rate, and they've already perfected, and I think they want to turn the majority of the population into exactly what they're doing with the soldiers. So I've seen it firsthand, and if I die over this, that's fine. I'm not afraid of that, but I gotta warn people. See, I don't like the idea.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are coming forward because they just are really tired of seeing what they're seeing. And
I'm just going to take another pill. Hang on a sec.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so...
Gosh, damn. Empty that one.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
Pretty sure. So the drug companies are doing pretty well off you guys as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a choice. I was married briefly in England, a woman that was an herbalist, and she wanted me all straight and narrow and stuff, and I tried, and I know all about the organic world, but at the end of the day, it's a whiskey or it's a couple pills, and I guess I choose now to have one of them pills.
Yeah, I think people underestimate what it is to be in your position. I mean, you go in thinking that, as you said, you think you're doing the right thing. You think that you're going to be doing some good for, I guess, the side that you're... I mean, you've been on both sides, so you've seen it from every which way. But there comes a point, I suppose, in your life where you start to really think about things a little bit more.
Yeah, and when you're there and you're doing these jobs and you're getting rewarded and pats on the back and all that business, you're not really, you're compartmentalized. You're only dealing with what's on your side of the highway. You're not told what's going on the other, and you don't understand why one day you're fighting alongside Al-Qaeda and the next day you're alongside the British and the Americans. You don't know you don't understand why you're fighting on both sides of a war, and it's only as you move along through it that you realize that, well, there's no money trail. I'm paid in gems. I'm paid with cars that I have free clearance to take those cars into France, Germany. I can resell it. I get my 40, 50 grand. Get my gems. I'm told which jewelry broker to go to where I cash in my gems, and I got my 150 from that. So I've got my 200 grand or whatever from my 3 months in God knows what country. And then you don't think about the fact that you're working on both sides of the playing for both sides of the football team basically.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing both the work, but you're never accountable, and none of us ever got with our pants down. So you start feeling like you're above the law. You're above any international law, and you cause most of the collateral damage. And then they keep blaming the American troops and this troops, and it's all a bunch of nonsense. We're doing most of the dirty work, and we don't even have to worry about getting caught as long as we keep the war machine going. And of course, Halliburton and the rest of them all get rich off of it, and the banking cartels are happy as pig and shit because they're, excuse my French, but they're just making money upon money.
Yeah, so I was going to ask you about that.
A couple of million people, and it's all fun and dandy and rosy until you start putting things together, and then the transhumanist jumping out the back of a semi, and you're like, well, wait a second here now. I guess I'm going to be either killed off for anything that I do know or any missions I have been on, or I'm just going to be easily replaced because I can't fight in the desert for 3 weeks in a row with no sleep.
Mm-hmm. Right. So not only are you fighting on both sides, but now we've got basically robots that are doing the dirty work. So and so we've got these other folks in the background, as you said. There's the Halliburton guys, and those are the ones that are basically keeping things going. The list is so damn endless, and the amount of money that's made from the war. I mean, you just can't imagine. I had a Rolls Royce. I mean, there's money. There's so much money floating around in this war game. You can't imagine. It's unbelievable. I don't know if you've ever heard of a beta slave or monarch programming or any of this, but yeah,
it involves you got endless women at hand for the troops, the soldiers of fortune. You got everything anytime you want it, as long as we just keep this thing afloat and everyone gets rich.
Mm-hmm. And
What's
I think
scary is the gene modification, and they're genetically modifying our DNA, and they're studying the more adept ones amongst us, and they're modifying our DNA. They're injecting a virus into our bodies, those of us that are selected, and then the virus bonds itself to a human cell. And I don't know all the particulars. I'm no scientist, but I can tell you I've seen some strange things. Let me tell you that.
Mm-hmm. I'll bet you have. So, what was I guess it just came to the point where you couldn't do it anymore. So you've what's your situation now?
Well, I'll be honest with you. My health has suffered. I've had a pretty difficult time emotionally. I don't need to, but I've taken a job in a restaurant, fast food restaurant, basically, just to keep myself from being alone with the thoughts in my head, because it's like an echo going off all the time. So I'm serving people, and I wouldn't say I'm a born-again Christian, but I have come to have my own defining moment with my Creator. Now, I had a Creator before, and I had no fear of being killed. I was programmed to be immortal, basically, a fighting machine, but I've come to the realization that I got to get it right with God, or I'm not moving on to the next class, or I'm not graduating.
Huh. Interesting way of putting it. Yeah. It's funny how your life, when you're facing the kinds of stuff you've faced, kind of takes on a different meaning.
Yeah, and what scares me about this whole the nanotech and the transhumanists and the cloning is that, well, these bastards running the show, they've decided that they'll have their robotic foot soldiers willing to do the dirty work, and they're all going to just genetically alter themselves, so they'll have like an immortality, which, I don't know, supposedly we're about 10 years away from, but they're never going to die. But you see, that's not, these are evil people, and them not ever dying only keeps this, it's, you know what cancer is? These people doing this stuff, they are the cancer on this planet, and this cancer is just going to keep spreading and growing, and they don't ever want to die, physically die, because they know they're spiritually bankrupt and they're not going any place but you know where.
Yeah, interesting how the folks that are looking for the immortality don't want to go. They don't like the options that are being given to them. So they're creating their third option. I'm going to just live forever. And so for those that are, don't understand or are skeptical, I guess, about what's happening and wish the world could just be a peaceful place, I guess really they're barking up the wrong tree, because there's some people that have a vested interest in making it quite the opposite. They've got their agenda, and it's interesting how it all does play into this idea of immortality, and yet they're willing to sacrifice everybody else. They don't. That end.
I guess because I got away from it and I realized the beauty of feeling things again, and knowing what love is, and having a deeper understanding of feelings that I don't think I ever really was in touch with or understood, and coming to grips with those feelings and realizing the beauty of that. Well, hell, they can take this damn physical body of mine any old time they want. I'm all ready to go back and be with my Creator. But the people doing the evil, and I was a foot soldier for them. I did some terrible things. You have no idea what the damage we do behind the scenes, or not even behind the scenes, just completely protected and allowed, given carte blanche to do whatever the hell we want. Whatever we want, we're impunable, or whatever they call that. We're untouchable. And I'm not proud of what I done, but I didn't know the difference, and I do now, and I don't believe in anybody doing this. I don't believe in anybody creating these monsters, these heartless, soulless. Here, I'm just going to take another pill.
That's a lot of pills.
I don't believe in these heartless, soulless creatures. What's the sense of living on this planet and enjoying going fly fishing or whatever if you can't feel anything? So where's the enjoyment if you're a soulless creature?
Well, I guess if you're a soulless creature, then the enjoyment is just perpetuating yourself, and and it's that winning thing, isn't it? It's that whole idea that, and it's that real base kind of part in us that feels like we have to, gain control, which is kind of the opposite to what we're really striving for, which is that freedom. That it seems like you've got an inkling of that happening in your life.
Oh yeah, I got more than an inkling, Joni. I my biggest fear, to be honest, is that they sample they've got DNA banks on that. They're just collecting every kind of imaginable data on, especially on anyone with any kind of special skills. I don't care if you're some kind of fancy medical surgeon, doctor, or you're a great athlete, or you're an evil, terrible criminal that's capable of slitting and killing anything. They're going to keep data on everything, and they're going to be
everybody
data banks. They're going to be mixing and matching like they're fixing some great big salad or something. And I'll tell you, my biggest fear is that I know they sampled my DNA because of my abilities, which I'm not going to disclose on air. But if they do that, then I'm clonable, and I don't like the idea of running into 20 of me.
Yeah, that could be interesting, especially when you know that they can run faster than you can.
Well, they sure can now.
Yeah, that's the scary part. They're the ones that have the immortality, and you know that's the worst part of it, is watching yourself only better, I guess, in terms of the physical aspects of it. Yeah, it's a weird world out there.
But these idiots think the better, new, improved version of them is somehow better than what they've got inside themselves in terms of the spirit and the soul. And they don't make that distinction that the beauty of being a human is being a damn human.
Right. Yeah, good point. It's a good point. Well, it's basically, I mean, that's the thing you want to share with people. I mean, that's what you're trying to get across, right? Is that's kind of what you came to. All the other, the money, the gems, the Rolls Royces, all that stuff is sort of pales by comparison to being human. Yeah,
it's just a big bunch of stuff to fill in this great big hole inside of us.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you watch TV, and the more they convince you to buy this and buy that and watch this, and vampires are cool, and isn't all this great stuff, and all the kids playing video games, wanting to be cyborgs and whatever the hell they come out with. Well, no one's putting any importance on what's inside, which is your soul. And I didn't either for years. But you know what? I do now. And I'll tell you, when you see a bunch of transhumanist clone soldiers jumping out on the back of a semi, you're going to really wonder what the hell's going on in this world.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's going to, as you say, it's coming to a convenience store near you, or a neighborhood store.
That the whole Walmart right down the street.
Yeah. So, well, you know what? We're coming up to the top of the hour, so I'm going to thank you. I want to talk to you again, and I think I want to check in and see what's happening in your life. And I'm pretty sure there's some people out there that are hearing this for the first time, and it's probably pretty amazing. So I think what we'll do is we'll carry on our conversation again, and hopefully you're going to stay safe. And
don't you worry about me.
Yeah.
You know, the ones doing this stuff, not the other mercs, but the other ones, the ones up top, they are so scared. They're so scared of being found out, and they're scared of ever getting into anything.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing it all secret because they're evil little creeps, and they don't have any backbone. And if it takes another merc to come in and take me down, then shame on him or her.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and there's women too, believe me. Women are the worst, actually.
That's a whole other story right there.
Oh, yeah. Anyway, we won't go there.
Well, no, we will go there. We'll go there some other time, but we're gonna wrap it up this time.
Darling, thanks so much.
Well, just stay on the line for a sec. I'm going to bring up some music, and I'm going to let people know they're listening to CHLY 101.7 FM. And we've been talking to Joe from an undisclosed location. We're going to talk to him again and let you know what's happening in his life, and catch you all up with what's happening in the rest of the world that you may not be in touch with so much. Okay, so we're going to listen to a little bit of Irene Torres and the Sugar Devils, appropriately enough, I suppose.
Up and go, I still sing this song. Keep it in my coat as I move along. And everyone I meet, I'll be sure to tell about that no good man that I done love so well. So tell me all your woes. I'll help you let them